Welcome into this week's edition of the Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel. That's Scout.com's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. We bring the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting, and we do so year-round. A lot of recruiting news to get to this time around, which isn't normally the case in the fall, but a lot of players receiving offers, including the first offer for Mountain Point offensive lineman Davis Parrott.
He's a kid that when I went out in the spring, I absolutely loved him. He's 6'5", and he's 265 pounds. The problem was he didn't have any film from his junior year because he only played D-line, and he played very, very little for Mountain Point. But now his senior film is out, and it is very good. He's tall, he's long, he's athletic. He's exactly what people are looking for. San Diego State was smart, and they're the first school to offer him. He's going to get more offers. I'm hearing that South Dakota State and Boise State could be very close as well. So this guy could end up blowing up just like his counterpart Nick Carmen already has, who also received an offer from San Diego State yesterday.
And that's 16 offers now for Carmen?
Yeah, a guy, 16 offers now, when last spring he had 0.
Pretty incredible. Those are the two tackles on each side for Mountain Point. And speaking of Mountain Point, Paul Lucas once again with another offer.
Yeah, he's at a dozen offers now, was offered by Illinois. You look at a guy that's so dynamic. Last week he had a kickoff return for a touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a rushing touchdown, just showing you how explosive Paul Lucas is.
And speaking of explosive players, we go to Saguaro now as Byron Murphy picks up 2 offers now in the last week, both, again, major programs.
Arguably one of the top prospect in the 2016 class, Murphy, the cornerback at Saguaro, was offered by Washington and by Michigan State. He now has 8 offers.
And finally, the last offer, Michael Peoples, offered by Army on September 11th, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. He was very honored by that. The big defensive tackle, he's 6'3", 265 pounds, out at Agua Fria, also has an offer from UC Davis.
Let's now get into the players of the week. We've had some great performances so far, but maybe the best performance to date yet. Weston Barlow, Queen Creek, doing what he does on the football field at running back.
It's hard to think that he might be able to top last year's 2,400-yard performance on the season, but he rushed for 374 yards and 6 touchdowns against Sholo. That's absolutely ridiculous.
And now's the part of the program where we like to talk about the breakout prospects that we see from the week prior, because Jason and I both at games each and every week. I was at a Pinnacle Hamilton. What a game that was. Pinnacle showing some grit, coming back with 28 unanswered points, but coming up just short, big field goal at the end of the game for Hamilton. They remain undefeated. There was a lot of players that I saw that I really liked on both sides of the football. I'm going to focus, though, on junior linebacker Justin Manarola from Pinnacle. I wrote about him in my Extra Points blog last week. He is just a junior. Got that, Justin? And this is a kid that I'm telling you, he does everything that this team asks for. When talking to Coach Zupke after the game, he talked to me about the fact that he is a player that he just throws out onto the field and watches him make plays. He did a great job on defense for Pinnacle at linebacker, and then when they needed scores in the red zone down the stretch, he was there to have 2 of them, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. This is a guy in the junior class that I think might start to blow up before things are all said and done for him in high school.
Now, my standout player is only a junior as well. Now, I was at Brophy versus Centennial, and I got to witness a old school duke 'em out defensive running football game. And one of the guys that I like is Stephen Bailey, the offensive guard at Centennial, only a junior, like I mentioned. But, he doesn't get quite the attention that Marshall Nathy and Brett Tons get at Centennial, but he is just as good as those guys. He's 6'3", 290 pounds, big, thick kid, and very, very physical. Very well coached by Joe McDonald over there at Centennial. He's done a great job with their offensive line. I think he's going to have another Division I offensive lineman in Stephen Bailey.
So Stephen Bailey, Centennial, just another of the long line of great offensive linemen to come out of the Coyote program. Let's now look ahead to the games in week 4, and there's some great ones on the docket. I'm going to start Peavy against Horizon. Used to be one of the biggest rivalries in the state. The 2 schools still don't like each other very much, but they're no longer in the same division. So things have changed a little bit, but I'm looking at the quarterbacks, of course. Dalton Sneed, fantastic quarterback for Horizon, had 7 touchdown passes last week. He's got some great weapons too. And also on the Peavy side of things, Daniel Bridge-Gadd off to a fantastic start for the Trojans. It's going to be a quarterback show in this matchup on Friday.
The game I will be at is going to be Chandler versus Mountain Point, one of the biggest games in the entire country. The top 2 teams in Division I right now, and there are so many athletes, it's very hard to just spotlight a couple of guys, but I'm going to break down just some concepts where Mountain Point is a run-first team, so Chandler's going to have to do their best. Their defensive line's going to have to play very well to stop that running game of Mountain Point. Then you look at Mountain Point on defense. They lost their entire secondary, so how are they going to match up with all of the weapons that Chandler has? Going to be a great one on Friday night.
Could be a state championship preview at that. Really excited to see how that one unfolds. That's it for this week's edition of the Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel. Jason Jewell, Jared Cohen on Sports360AZ.com.